If you're cursed or blessed with agelessness, what kind of hobby is going to take up? We're here tonight at Brand Theaters watching Age of Adaline, starring Blake Lively. Haven't seen Blake Lively do anything lately since Green Lantern, I think Savages, and other than that, really nothing. So it's kind of interesting seeing, Blake doing some stuff. I'm going to say this off the fly. The movie gets the nod for creativity and originality. I'm going to have to say, minus Benjamin Button, that was kind of its own thing. This definitely had a unique thing to it. It's not your typical, let's go watch this love movie. Let's watch this action movie. It's kind of like, let's watch this interesting... I had a couple problems with this movie. The movie starts out and it kind of like a guy's narrating it. So, okay, I get it. Some probably will need it. Others probably can figure it out. So the narrating, it was inconsistent with me. It starts and it's going and then it's nothing. And then 40 minutes later, 2 sentences are said. It's like, really? I thought it was just the beginning. And then there's the plot. They dangle this carrot out there, this is going to be a prominent thing that Adaline has to deal with, and it was only there very seldom, and then it was just kind of it went to this other carrot, which you're kind of that's not even really a problem, that's just you being selfish. The movie does have emotion. I felt maybe the emotion factor could have been a lot higher with what they were going with. You don't age, so you're going to stay the same for years. When when the preview shows it, oh, I don't want to fall in love with people. Okay, you get that. You understand why, because you're never going to grow old with them. But then when you start, the movie plays out, and her daughter's talking to her and stuff, it's kind of you're thinking, yeah, you know what? This is 2015. Women can fly planes now. Let's take the blinders off and live life a little bit. I don't know if the movie was supposed to be shown out as you can't figure it out or you could figure it out. I also liked Adaline. I liked how she was so simple. Yes, she's from, the early 1900s, and everything about her was that. I liked that. So when she was interacting with people, and she would be very, proper and sophisticated and polite, and some people are kind of that's a little weird. It's no, that's kind of how, you should be, just in a general whole. Her character, I liked her character. There's some things I didn't like I said, the selfishness and whatnot. All in all, I'm going to give the movie a 6.5. It was good, but it's not you have to go out and see it. If you have an interesting group of friends, go see it. The debate thereafter could be pretty interesting, could not. It held enough interest to keep your attention from start to finish, and that to me is what matters. To see the Fast and Furious 7 review, click that right there. I should open it with this, I'm sorry. We haven't done a couple in the past 2 weeks. There's been some real crazy things going on with all of us, so I apologize, but it's not anything spectacularly amazing came out. But don't worry, we'll be here for Avengers and henceforth throughout the summer, so we'll bring you those. Don't worry. So Age of Adaline. Some liked, some didn't. I want to know your thoughts, opinions, because you and I were sometimes the same, sometimes we're different.
I feel this movie splits into 2 pieces. You have, and you can tell this by the trailer, you have a romance story. And that's very obvious in the trailer. And then you have the story of this event that makes this woman not age. They're very different stories that have been melded together into this movie. So the way I look at this movie now that I've seen it is that the romance in this movie I feel works very, very well. The chemistry between the actors, the way it's written, it's all believable. All the pieces make sense in the romance. When it comes to the mystery of the life without aging, which is presented in the trailer, it is not fully filled in. And that's because if it was fully filled in, we'd be looking at a 4-hour movie or a 6-part miniseries. Because when you start to think about it, there's a lot of questions you have. Remember, that's not what this movie's about. This movie is about her and the romance ensuing. That's the idea. It's her letting go of the entire concept in the trailer and finding herself or not finding herself or whatever's going to happen in the movie. You don't have to watch it to find out. But that's the idea. It's her making the decision, you living the decision, and then figuring out what the consequences, or if there are any consequences of that decision are. And that is kind of the point of this movie. So while I walk out wanting to know more and wanting to have seen more of people reacting to her and things like that, maybe even more of her in the past, that wasn't what this movie was. And that's not what this movie was presenting. So I almost kind of want to see another movie like this, where they explore less of the romance side and more of that side, because I think it'd be really cool and interesting. But at the same time, the romance hit me. I believed it, I felt it, I was with it every step of the way. If you can sell a romance in a romance movie, you win.
I enjoyed the history aspect of different parts of her life and how it corresponded with the history of San Francisco and everything. I did enjoy that. I enjoyed the wardrobe choices for her because she is a very simplistic character from a different time when less was more, and so I appreciated that. I didn't really care for any of the characters though. They didn't make me feel anything. The story didn't make me feel anything. Yes, it's a happier story, I guess, than say Benjamin Button, that was a very original take on, you know, aging and everything. But when you have lackluster character development like there was in this movie, I don't feel like it makes you care about this movie. And I didn't feel like it was, like, I saw it with you and it's supposed to be a romantic movie. I didn't feel any romanticism with this movie. It just makes me so love this guy right here. No, it wasn't like that for me whatsoever. It was just kind of like, eh. I do like the way that it was shot. The cinematography was really pretty in certain aspects, especially when you're having shots of the city done and everything in that sort of way. It wasn't me being a girl and being in a very emotional state that I am. I didn't have as much emotion from this movie as I thought I would.
I enjoyed this movie a lot. I enjoyed the aspect of it, and I also liked that it was, like you said, originality in a way. I enjoyed watching it. I had a good time with it. I wish I would have had my wife here to see this, because it's one of those movies, it's a romantic movie. I would have liked to have her there. But it's not a bad movie because she wasn't here. I don't really have a lot to say about it because I don't know, I don't want to, I guess I want to talk about things, but I don't want to spoil it. They do dangle some things out there. They do put you there and you do wonder, what about this? But at the same time, to me, I thought, okay, I don't really need to know because this goes towards the future. So is the future really like the past? I guess that's really what I thought about, is the past, they were different, the future's now. I don't know, I guess I just wanted to put it back behind because I wanted to see more.
Kind of a thinker.
I definitely wanted to see more of this movie to a point, but then again, towards the end, I also saw they could have went a different path with it. They did it for a certain reason, I'm sure. This movie was actually a shorter movie compared to most movies lately.
Only an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah, most of them hit 2 or more anymore, so this was
2
shorter.
plus, like,
yeah, so I think they could have put more in there, or maybe lengthened some more parts so we saw more. I'm going to give this a 7.5. I enjoyed it. I didn't hate it. It's not the best movie we've seen. That's next week.
I would give it a 6. It's something that's original that, like, if you really enjoy this type of movie and you enjoy history, it'll be good for you. But if you're wanting to see the story develop with it and the character development, then it's not really worth it.
I give this a good solid 7.5, and the reason I give it that is because it's a good romance movie. If you're a romance movie type and you watch the trailer and you're like, hey, I kind of like that, I like what they're doing there, watch it. You're going to enjoy it. It's a good romance movie. I'm by no means of an expert of romance movies. It's not exactly my genre of expertise, but who cares? So it works.
This week's question has nothing to do with movies per se, but if you could, have agelessness and you can live forever, what type of things would you do? What sort of hobbies would you take up? Languages, medical, and as always, we're letting you know before you go, at Brandon Theaters. Yes, I shaved my beard.